event-driven architecture, and async API. What the fuck? Why is everyone talking about it? Well, architecture and events is not anything new, is it? It's not something new. When I graduated college, I heard about it, I studied it, now everyone's talking about it. Why? Well, according to someone you can't see because it's a little bit dark, Gartner, it's a research he did. He said in 2020, events will be 80% of events would be. Hang on a minute. 80% will be digital solutions, and new services will be based on events. Why is that? We are now in a IoT world. Imagine. Let's see. I am walking by a shop. I'll trigger an event at the shop that I'm walking past it. So the shop can send me a promo code and I can walk into the shop. Perhaps I'm not even going to buy that, but I got into the store and I saw that product. And not only IoT, we have other systems integration. So let's travel a little bit. I've moved homes this last few days, and when I change my addresses, who do you think I'll let know? The bank or a shop that I buy from? Well, the shop. Well, so the bank didn't know I moved. I didn't get some of their letters, and they called me and said, "Look, did you move? Your letters are coming back." And I said, "Oh yes, I did." So imagine this shop that sells these clothes. If they make a channel available where you can register, and then I change my address, the bank will get an event saying I've changed my address. It automatically will update my address. This is really good because you create a ecosystem, as we saw from the first talk. You can build an ecosystem you have no idea it exists, but you have a business around it. So let's talk. Well, this is what you came here for. First thing, what is an event? Event is everything. So changing my taking a step here is an event. You being here is an event. This is an event, which is beautiful, by the way. So what is a business event? In my business, I'm not going to get all the information that's coming my way. I'm not going to process it all. It doesn't make sense. So what is an event? So business event has a meaning and a purpose for my company. So if I'm an e-commerce, an order can be an event. If I'm in e-commerce and a product, if I am a bank system, a payment is an event. So an event is everything that has a meaning or relevance for your company. So what is a event-oriented architecture? It tries to promote the production, detection, and reaction from events that are taking place. So this is what it is based on. Let's talk about topology. Architecture based on events, it has three parts. The system generates events, a client registration, or your bank application. We have a broker or mediator that is responsible for sending this event. It can be a line or someone who is going to make a call and then will make another call. He's going to be in charge of taking care of this event to route, because the consumers will see, look, this event is important for me, I'm going to do something about it. So getting deeper into the topology, we have a mediator. We use it when we have the need to orchestrate. For instance, I'll give you an example later. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but we have a few parts. So the producer of the event, the queue, the event queue. So the line is created. The producer says, a producer says, well, I created this event. There you go. I don't need to worry about something getting it or see anyone has received it. I produced the event. There you go. You do whatever you want with it. So the line is responsible for receiving the event. Then we could have people who are registered. In our case, the mediator. And an example of implementation for technical people, we can use Kernel. We can implement it to receive the event and orchestrate calls and whatever is necessary to be done within the mediator of events. It's important to say that this mediator should have no business rules. Business rules only for the processors of events, okay? And the processors, they basically they want to have some information about the event, and they need it in order to make it all happen. And this is an example. I've changed the dress, so I have a car because I'm rich and beautiful, and I want to update my address. I did update it, so that will trigger an event. So if you're aware of the insurance business, you know that the value of your insurance depends on where you live. So if I live in a risky area, or if I left a risky area, so my client service will talk to the queue. Well, this girl has moved addresses, has changed addresses. So my mediator, what is he going to do? First, he's going to allocate a quote service, and it's going to say, "Oh, her insurance has changed. This girl, the value has changed," and you will answer, and that goes according to the implementation. But basically, you will answer, and by answering, you go to a notification center that is going to say, "Look, your insurance has changed." So the mediator orchestrates, but he has no business rules. The other one is the broker, and I think most of you know, which are the lines themselves. So we have an event. The event is processed in a queue, and then people that are listening to the queue, they'll be able to know what to do or not to do with this case. Then the same example from before, but with the broker, he does the following. We have a dress change. I go to my client service. I put that in a line. Oh, this person has moved addresses. So my quote service will say within the line, someone has changed addresses. Let's see what she's done. So I did my quote again. That's over. Well, what do? I put it back on the line. It's not my problem anymore. Then the notification service is responsible for notifying the person who has moved addresses. Then we have a few principles, like in all architecture. A standard. Report current events. Once you decided which event is important for your business, you need, in a way, to inform them. So you always have to report from the time that it actually happened. Notification sending. So we saw that we have the producer, the mediator or the broker, or in the processor. Look, the producer will send a message, and that's it. The consumer doesn't have to talk to the producer anymore. It doesn't have to know anything. So we have communication in one direction only. Communication is for and forget. So I send a message, and that's it. I'll change a different address of a different person, I'll register a different person, so that there is no problems around it. Immediate response. So I'm a processor. I'm waiting for the event to get to me. I have to do something. Despite the fact, well, it might be nothing, but I'm actually doing something. I'm going to look at that event, and I'm going to say, well, she's altered the number of her street number. Well, I'm just going to look at that event, and life goes on. And this is very important. Commands free. When you send an event, you're not going to say to your event, look, event, Ana Paula has changed addresses. Please send a notification and perform a quote. Is this an event or is it a line of command? We have to be careful, because the idea of a line of event is that you can plug new businesses at a click of a finger. You don't need to go to a developing team and say, look, the alteration, the change of address, and you need to register a new command because I want that to be done. The processor is responsible for knowing what to do with whatever has got to him, and that's it. This is very important. And so now we'll talk about standards. We have standards for everything. We have event notification, we have event carried state transfer, and we have event sourcing. Minute for my water. Let's talk about each of these bullet points. Event notification. So, say we have a scenario. I am changing address. I go to my client service, update my data bank, and what is it going to do for me? You trigger an event. In this scenario, this crazy scenario where the sales company, it's integrated to a bank system, and the bank system wants to know when I update my address because it's an easier place to do that. So the client, this number has updated her data. The broker will get the event and will have services listening. So it could be pull, push, or whatever is better for the case. So the bank service is going to get this information. What is he going to do? He's going to say, look, this is my client. Do I have a client with this tax file number? Well, what I'm going to do, I am going to go from a bank service. I'm going to make a call, a get client from a client service, and you're going to say, okay, this is the data that's changed. I'm going to send a notification with this new data. The choice is the clients. So now we have a good priority, which is detaching the receiver from the sender. I don't have that dependency. It is there. My server has changed. It's up to date. It's updated. There you go. And who's listening here can listen. I have an offer service. Perhaps he doesn't want to know why the address has been changed. Or I can have another. So the client service is unaltered. He doesn't even know that there's more people being plugged to it. And then we have cons. Imagine the 7 people has changed addresses in that precise moment, and the bank wants to know from these 7 people. It's going to go 7 times to the client service. 7 is a good number. Imagine 100. So puts a lot of weight on the client service because it's going to be bombarded by requisitions every time that an updating is done. So for that reason, we have event carried state transferred. So in the same scenario, we have a change of address, and what happens? The message or the event we're generating has more content. It will say, well, look, this client has changed her error code for this, and the event broker will get this requisition, this request, and each listener will save in their data banks the information they want. So as an advantage, we have the detachment and the reduction of load on the supply. So when we do this the request, it has all the information I need. I won't have to go to my server, my producer of events, to see what's going on. I won't have to go there to know why this person has changed addresses. But we gain another problem. The replication of data. Why? This client has will have its address replicated in the entire environment, and the consistency of the data. What guarantees that this guy's address hasn't been altered at another time, and then I'll come back here and I overwrite this information, or this guy has been altered and my event was, but nothing was overwritten, so I'm making a mistake. So this is something we have to be careful with. And then we have event sourcing. So this guy, it's very controversial. Event surface, what is it for? For us to save the status of the event. So the event has got to me, I'll save it. For future searches, a lot of people use it so they can upload new events. So need the current state of the environment because something happened. So I will have the same environment. But when the client makes any changes, I will keep this event. I'll do nothing with it now. I have it there. It'll be It's used when people want to work with machine learning, or when we separate the entry and the exit when you want to console. You have an interface, it's a separate environment, and when you want to write, it's a different environment, and this is where event source comes in. And there's a few advantages. Audit, for instance. Look, something happened, I want to know what. One of the bad aspects from this architecture, the event-driven architecture, is that we lose the whole debugging. You lose your tracking of data. With event sourcing, you are able to track. Well, you can actually upload them back again, create a new environment with this data. You can replicate and then see at what stage and what event triggered that problem. Debugging, because you can upload the whole environment again. And the cons, it's not very familiar. You can say that hardly anyone has documentation referring to this. And people, when they implement, I heard a lot on the internet that they didn't have a good experience, but when you see the scenario, perhaps they didn't use the appropriate tool, or the environment was inappropriate, and perhaps they didn't even need it. So, like in any architecture, if you don't do it properly, they can create bad reputation. And event schema, what am I going to save? Am I going to save the event when it arrives, or when it's processed, or after process, or both? So this is something that we have to be alert. And then AsyncAPI, everyone's talking about it. What is it? It's a documentation. It's the way we have today. It actually has emerged last year. It's quite new to documentate events, not only events, but interfaces that communicate through messages and events and so on. The market saw a need because we didn't have any ways to communicate documentation. Today, who works with API knows about Swagger. But what about events? I want to expose my interface. What do I do? So, the AsyncAPI is focused around applications and channels. These applications, what do they use? The applications that they use to communicate.
Where do you have to send it? It defines the name of the channel that you have to communicate. It defines which is the application, which is the protocol. We have the HTTP, the one from Google. So this guy defines it for us. Which of you knows Swagger? Oh, I'm so proud. So here I have a very similar structure to OpenAPI 3 that arose last year. We have a place for the information, name, description, responsible organization, the scheme, the server, the host, and the security mode, the channel. We have the channel items, we have the operations, the summary, and the message, how the message behaves. If we wait for it to send messages to us. Here are some other components. And here we have an example of how the server is defined. Here we have the URL, we have the ports, the authentication. Well, everybody wonders about the security nowadays, so we have to define the security mode. And here we have an example of pub, how to shut off a lamp, for instance. We have here what it is. Here we have what we need to send, the description. So we have all the information we need. You can have a portal in which you can upload the documentation and you can send it to your partner. look, this is the guy I have. And then we have the pros and cons. So items in favor of it. You reduce the coupling of your system. You can separate the producer from the receiver, and you have a better performance. You work much better with asynchronous operations. You put them in the queue and it's okay. Your event is beautiful. You have it's easier to add new customers. Suppose, for instance, you have a customer that wants a channel for the change in the status of the product. It's easy. You can just plug, use the documentation, and it's going to be easy for the customer to use it. And it will be highly scalable and distributed. Imagine you have your interface, your product interface. Notification is doing good, but the product one receives a high load charge. And okay, you can distribute your system. You can scale it. It's going to be everything all right. Let's see the cons now. Not everything is fine. Well, it can lead to a loss of information. Imagine you have your event, you've informed the queue about your event, but you cannot hear about it. Then, if you need someone to hear that information, you don't have the confirmation that it was received, so you can really lose information. Well, it also can add more complexity if it is badly implemented. If you do an SOA badly implemented, it will for sure add some complexity. And it is a challenge for the governance of your data and your flow. Your data it will be sent to some people that you don't even know who they are. And now, so I talked a lot, but what now? Well, first, you have to understand your need. Maybe what you have today, you don't need to be event-based. Maybe you can solve it with the request response. So the first thing is to understand the need. Second, you have to choose better the architecture. You can sometimes, solve your problem with something different from the event-oriented thing. Also, number 3, choose a pattern. Do you want to have an event sourcing for keeping the events that happen? And the 4th, choose a tool that better serve the necessity you have. We have Pub Send from Google and many others. And also, we have the Event Hub. This is a new platform from Sensedia. I thought it was going to be a spoiler, but my boss showed it before me. I was sad because of that. So we have some characteristics already available. For instance, push for subscribers. We have the publisher that is an internal system. Someone that is going to generate an event that is really important for you. We also have the Events Hub, who is going to be in charge for making the push for the subscriber. He's going also to do the retrial, automatic retrial or retrieval from messages. If you have a problem, for instance, we have to do the call again. If the problem happens twice, okay, let's wait a little bit and do it again. We have security, safety, so that the people behind the publishing doesn't need to worry about it. People will have the safety. They have to authenticate as you do for an API. And we will have we will guarantee the deliver. So that's it. If you want to talk to me, here is my email. I'm going to be outside. If you want to talk with me, my Twitter is here as well. And thank you so much.